time, I'd like to call the regular Anderson County Council meeting of April 5th to order. This time, I'd like to ask Council Mr. Cole if he'd lead us in the invocation, pledge allegiance. But all rise, please.
Please bow with me in prayer. Heavenly Father, I'm praying for our county government and community leaders throughout our country, our towns, cities, states, and our nation. Save those who are not yet your own. Give us wisdom in every decision we make and help us to think clearly. Grant us discernment and common sense so we'll be strong and effective leaders. Help us lead and govern with integrity, and may our integrity guide us and keep us on track. Help us to be leaders who are spirit-filled and follow your principles. Direct our steps according to your word, for our decisions have a great impact on our lives. Be our defender and protector, and keep us always on guard. Help us who are Christians to be strong and courageous, standing firm in our faith and influencing others for your kingdom. Encourage and strengthen us, giving us the wisdom we need. Help us to have courage and faith in you, no matter what we're facing day to day. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move on, I'd like to welcome Troop 280 of the Anderson New Hope Methodist Church, and their committee chair, Charlie Mulligan here. Thank y'all for coming. Appreciate y'all coming out. Hope y'all will have an enjoyable evening. We'll be moving on now. Item number 3, approval of minutes of March 15, 2016. Are there any changes, corrections to be made to those?
Yes, I have.
Ms. Floyd?
I have one. At the last meeting.
Excuse me, Ms. Floyd, I don't know if you're on or not.
There it is. At the last meeting, I was made a comment about the Broadway Lake swimming area that I have proposed, and I was telling the council members that it was back on schedule. And then I looked at Mr. Burns, and I said, Mr. Burns, is that correct? And what I said was, is on page 10, line 47, what I said was, and I think I can safely say that the Broadway Lake swimming area is back on track. Mr. Burns, am I correct about that? Mr. Burns did answer in the affirmative. He said, yes, it is. He said yes, but it wasn't recorded in the minutes at that time. I would like to amend the minutes so that Mr. Burns' answer can be written in as yes.
Okay. Duly noted. Any other changes, corrections to be made? We'll make a motion. You make a motion to accept the minutes, Ms. Floyd.
I make a motion to accept the minutes with that change in it.
Have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Water. Any further? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, show hands. All opposed, like sign, so the motion carries unanimously. Moving on, item number 4, citizens' comments. This time, Mr. Harmon, call you.
Mr. Chairman, there are no citizens signed up to speak at this time.
Well, you're going to take all the fun out tonight, ain't you? Going to do my speech.
You need me to go down?
Yeah, you might be better off down there. Moving on, if there's no citizens' comments on the first round on the agenda items, we'll be moving on to item number 5, request for 800 radios for the Pendleton. I'm assuming it's the police department. Burns.
Mr. Allen, do you do this? Yes, sir. This is a request for the Pendleton Police Department. If you notice, they've hired some new officers and they're ramping up at full steam. And they have a request before council for these radios. We'll be paying a franchise fee for these.
Yeah, they just got the okay at their meeting last night to start, at their city council meeting, to start hiring folks on. So like we've done for all the other cities around, we would be paying the licensing fee for their radios.
I know it's in there, but just for the record, how many radios
It
is
was
it?
8 radios?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
8 radios.
Okay. Any more discussion?
No.
More else? All in, you make that motion?
I put that in form of a motion, that's what I was going to
Second,
say.
Mr. Waters, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, show of hands. Opposed, like sign, so the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 6. Mr. Burns.
Mr. Chairman, we have our Emergency Preparedness Director, Mr. Taylor Jones, here tonight, and he's going to discussion and information session on the Zika virus in Anderson County. Mr. Jones?
Jones.
Members of council, Mr. Administrator, glad to be with you all today. What we are kind of facing here is a lot of discussion and a lot of concern from the media outlets and from our citizens on not understanding the Zika virus and how it may affect our area. We've received a lot of calls from folks at the LAPC meeting. There's been some discussion. So I also recall back from a council meeting, Mr. Floyd had some concerns about this virus and how it may affect our community. So like everything else, like the bird flu, Ebola, emergency preparedness put together a little plan on how to deal with this from a community standpoint. So we researched this a lot, going to the leading experts in the nation on this, the CDC, but we've also touched base with our local partners from the Clemson University entomology department, Dr. Peter Eldler. Dr. Eldler is a leading expert for Clemson University on this matter and is also his DHEC's task force on this. So we've had no known cases in the United States that's actually been contracted in the United States. There's around 320 cases that have shown up in the United States, but all those folks have been traveling to the countries that you see in purple here, which are the areas of concern where the virus is active in the mosquito population there. So, one of the things that DHEC is doing a tremendous job on is actually monitoring the situation and the transmission. So they have mosquito detection devices out all over the state where they monitor mosquitoes on a daily basis and also work with the epidemiology to people at DHEC to determine if there's any disease processes or concerns within our communities here in South Carolina. So the mosquito bites is one way of actually the disease being transmitted. Another way is mother to child through the shared blood supply, and then the other would be through sexual contact. There's been no reported cases so far in the United States of any issues with blood transfusions. During the French Polynesia, 2.8 blood donors tested positive during that outbreak, which is different from this. But in this instance, we've not seen that yet, but that's something that will be continually monitoring through the World Health Organization. So one of the things that we talked about in this presentation was the types of mosquitoes that actually carry this type of disease. And there's the Aedes aegypti, which is a mosquito that carries the Zika virus that is prevalent in South Carolina. It really more so in before the 1960s, but it basically was eradicated around 1967 with the eradication of the yellow fever. The CDC has also, there's the Asian tiger mosquito that also is a carrier that we do have in the lower parts of South Carolina, but none of these mosquitoes in any of the testing has shown to be positive in South Carolina. So I think one of the things that we need to stay focused on is how to, as the summer prevails and the chances of mosquito populations and the threat of this moving into the United States, most of the experts feels like that this would be more isolated towards Texas, Florida, and would not be a problem in South Carolina. The chances are very minimal from what the leading experts are saying about this. But also we have people that do travel to the Caribbean and may travel to this area. So things that we can do when we're here at home is we can discharge standing water. One of the things that was very interesting to me was to find out how a lot of mosquitoes will just breed in dead bamboo shoots like this here, real small, down in flower pots, water. They like small areas. In fact, Dr. Adler said that some of the favorite mosquito tests when they put out tests is to take bottle caps and just fill them up with a little bit of water and set them out on the back deck or something. And he said within 48, 72 hours, you'll start seeing mosquito larvae form in that small of area. So that's what they like. They typically are not associated in the breeding grounds of larvae being into larger ponds of water like our Civic Center Pond or Broadway Lake or Lake Hartwell. Those places have moving water, and it tends to not get stagnated or is not usually associated with algae and things that the mosquitoes would eat and breed and promote their population from. So one of the things that we want to look at is how to eliminate those breeding grounds, and one of those is just to repair septic tanks, discarding standing water, water in tires, water in trash or debris that may be around your yard. Change out your horse troughs and make sure that the algae and the green scum that kind of builds up, clean those weekly and continue to add fresh water. Apply mosquito repellent in small, don't just saturate yourself in it, but to your skin and just a little bit up around your clothes. Treat your clothing and gear, especially if you're in a more southern climate where there's more, you may want to put a little extra on your gear. Wear long sleeves shirts and pants to protect those unexposed areas, and that control of mosquito population is what the experts are saying is the best plan. The question was asked about mosquito spraying, and they really feel like this type of mosquito, that's not really something that is, you really get a lot of bang for your buck. It's kind of a hit and miss way to do it. They say the best protection we can have is actually to take that into preparedness and keep your area free of litter and breeding grounds such as bottles and cups and things like that that mosquitoes can lay their live in. So one of the things that we're looking at here is a way to do community education through our media education program. We've got some flyers that we've handed out to council members that talks about prevention and things that we can hand out to citizens as far as brochures and pamphlets to give them good information on what to do and to have good factual information. Road crews that notice standing water with public works as they're doing work would do things to mitigate those. Track and respond to any complaints in the county and stay on top of those and eliminate breeding grounds on county property and in landfill areas. One of the things that is kind of going around is real popular right now is don't believe what you read on the internet, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So one of the things that we wanted to do is show you all the Google searches that we've got here, over 102 million, and refer you to the CDC website and South Carolina DHEC site for good factual information. I also wanted to point out that there is a sewer repair program through Upstate Forever that provides a 60% assistance for people with low income and may have needs to replace their sewer system. So ask people to look at that and take advantage of that. With that, I'd like to show you a video of the CDC's summit that they had on Friday dealing with the Zika virus, and let the director there kind of educate you a little bit on what the national plan is.
If Zika behaves as chikungunya and dengue behaved, and that's a big if, I don't know if it will, we may see explosive spread in one area followed by a long period of lower level transmission. However, one area might be one part of a country, one city, one part of a city. So it's very difficult to predict what the pattern will be. With microcephaly, the challenge is a little bit different because it is unprecedented. It has been more than 50 years since there has been a viral cause of a severe birth defect identified, and we've never before identified a mosquito-borne cause of birth defect. So we want to be extremely careful. What is clear is that the spectrum of risk to pregnancy is beyond microcephaly. The spectrum includes apparently miscarriage and other adverse outcomes. It appears to be present in all trimesters of pregnancy, although we would anticipate that it would peak at the end of the first or early second trimester. Without significantly increased resources, it's going to be very difficult to do the kind of innovations we need to do to provide rapid testing and rapid control. The front line of the battle against Zika in the U.S. is Puerto Rico. And we are very concerned that Puerto Rico could have hundreds of thousands of Zika infections and potentially thousands of pregnant women infected with Zika. I think it's safe to say that no state would say they have enough money and staff to respond effectively today, because this is a big challenge. There's a shortage of entomologists out there. There's a shortage of dollars to do the extensive things that are needed. I think the great majority of states have done a lot to prepare, but this summit is to accelerate that action.
So one of the things that I think we've done right in Anderson County leading up to this is our anti-litter control program. The work that a lot of the council folks have done to spearhead and add additional litter crew on. These are things that will make a difference, not only in making Anderson a beautiful place to live, work, and play, but also decrease our exposure to mosquito diseases from the reproduction of mosquitoes in their breeding grounds. With that, can I answer any questions from any of the council members?
Mr. Chair?
Well,
Yeah, a question and a comment. I've noticed driving around town, there are some yard signs showing up, white yard signs announcing mosquito commander or mosquito commando. In other words, I think this is a private organization willing to spray for mosquitoes because of this. And just to let people know, that's not a county effort. That's probably a private individual. Number two, we hear a lot about the pregnancy side of it. What happens if what are the symptoms of a male? Not to put you on the spot, but if a male is bitten and infected with Zika virus, what does that do?
It's just general malaise, tiredness, weakness, maybe nausea. It's kind of like having any type of viral infection. Probably lasts less than 72 hours. In most people, that's probably what they would expect, either male or female, unless they were in a pregnancy. And it really doesn't matter what trimester. The fetus can be affected during any trimester.
So I guess though with a male, I mean it'll go away in 72 hours, but you'd still be a carrier, I guess, of the virus.
After that period, the virus dies in your body. So.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
But I tell you what, one of the things that I always caution folks on these emerging disease processes and things coming out, there's a lot we don't know. And until this is studied and a lot more education research done on this, I think it's something we need to respect, keep an eye on, and be vigilant about. But so far in South Carolina, we look like we're pretty prepared. As far as we're going April the 19th to a DHEC summit to actually discuss strategies on how the state can better prepare for this. So that's what we will be working with all our partners here in the county to provide that training afterwards. We're also working with DHEC and Clemson University to produce a PSA message for the public, telling folks what to do that kind of goes along with our brochures.
thank you, Ms. Jones. Ms. Floyd had a comment.
Yes, I heard you mention the things that we should do in order to prevent this virus, but did you mention bird baths? I know that there are products out there you can buy, but is there anything that we can do to protect ourselves as well as the birds?
Ms. Floyd, the thing that the experts recommends with bird baths is to clean them once a week. The algae scum that develops around the concrete, keep that Clorox off. Clorox products, 1 to 10 solution will kill that algae scum. Same thing for horse troughs or any other particular area that, water fountains, anything that stores, water where it's not moving. So it's just go back and clean it once a week. There's also a brick that you can put in. It's the BTI? Yeah, BTI brick that actually releases a chemical that kills algae and provides a constant algicide to the water that also is good for that prevention, and it also has a component in that kills the mosquito larvae.
Anything else, Ms. Floyd?
No, thank you.
Anyone else? Well,
The Wall Street Journal has been covering this pretty extensively. I skimmed over an article, I think, over the weekend, and it indicated, I think, that the Low Country might be susceptible to this mosquito and the virus, but there have been no indications yet that that's happened.
The warmer climates, Ms. Wilson, you're exactly right. The warmer climates and where the tiger mosquito lives, the Asian tiger mosquito, that is the more prominent areas and concerns in the U.S.
Have no else. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Appreciate
Thank you.
your report, and I know you will keep us updated with the changes. Thank you very much. Moving on now to item number 7. Ordinance third reading, 7 May 2015-027. Ordinance request to rezone 2 parcels of property at Corner Drive Road and Centerville Road. This is third reading. Have a motion to move this forward. Motion, Ms. Wilson, have a second. Second, Mr. Allen. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, show of hands. All opposed, like sign, so the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 7B, 2016-007, ordinance amending ordinance number 2003-062, the Anderson County Speed Hump Ordinance, adopted 12/16/2003. Have a motion to move this forward. This is third reading. Motion, Ms. Wilson, move forward. Have a second. Second, Mr. Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, show of hands. Opposed, like sign, says motion carries unanimously. We're moving on to item number 8A, second reading. 8A, 2016-006, ordinance amending ordinance number 99-004, the Anderson County zoning ordinance is adopted July 20th, 1999 by amending the Anderson County zoning ordinance, chapter 70, to include clarification to internal process and to bring the ordinance into compliance with certain state and federal legislation. This is the second reading. Ms. Wilson, you have a...
Shall we do a first and a second and then go into discussion?
Yeah, we gotta move this forward. Do you have anything to add before we move into this?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion to move this forward to second reading, and Mr. Crowder second. Now, open for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've been working with the situation. The county's overwhelmed with new development, which is a good thing, but we need to try to be ahead of the curve in anticipating the growth and making sure it's done as best we can. And with that in mind, I would like to move to amend Section 535, minimum requirements, residential lot side yard setbacks to read 10% of lot width or 10 feet, whichever is greater, and rear yard setbacks to read 20 feet except where adjoining land is already developed in a similar manner, where 10-foot rear setbacks would be appropriate. And by way of explanation, the current requirements are for side yard setbacks, 10% of lot width subject to item 3, not to exceed 25 feet, and for rear yard setbacks, 5 feet. I also move to revise section 524 to read lot width, minimum lot width for a single-family detached dwelling shall be 30 feet with no less than 100-foot lot width at the building line. The current section reads lot width, minimum lot width for a single-family detached dwelling shall be 30 feet with 100 feet at the building line. And I put that in the form of a motion, please.
Okay, vote, have a second. Second, Mr. Crowder, on the amendment, or any discussion on the first amendment, or second, two amendments?
May I make just a discussion?
Yes, sir.
Over here. Several years ago, we had an incident down off Calhoun Street where we had some really nice homes that flooded when there was a lot of rain. And the homeowners were really concerned because they were being flooded by the gully in the back and flooded by the water coming off of the road coming into the subdivision and other properties. And one of the problems was it only had a 5-foot setback, so you could not get trucks back there, you couldn't get tractors back there, you couldn't. And the real problem was the person who owned the land on the other side of the ditch would not give anybody the right to come on his property to fix it for that subdivision, because from what I understand, there were conflicts way back when. And so this is one of the reasons that I would join Ms. Wilson. And we discussed it with Mr. Foreman in a meeting, you recall, y'all allowed us to. And so this is just a verbal endorsement of one of those several instances that I've had on the short term that I've been on council. that we need that kind of protection for them. Okay, thank you.
Anybody have anything?
Yes,
Mr. Lloyd?
this is directed to Mr. Foreman. Mr. Foreman, listening to the, Mrs. Wilson's suggestions, what is your opinion in layman's term?
The proposed amendments would put us in line with adjacent counties, nearby counties in the upstate for setbacks for single-family residential. So, as discussed by Ms. Wilson, that would be in line.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor of the amendment, the two amendments, show of hands. All opposed, like sign, so the motion carries. Answering. Now, going back to the original motion. Any discussion on it? All in favor of the original motion, show of hands. All opposed, like sign, so the motion carries. Nancy. Thank y'all. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. And please, this is a project, we've got one more vote on this, let's look at this and study this and make sure, get this, give some thought, make sure we're doing this, because as Ms. Wilson said, we've got a lot of, development going on in the county, and try to get this, done right. Moving on, number 9A, we'll have a public hearing on this. It'll be a 2016-008, ordinance to rezone 5585 Highway 187 from R20 to R8. This is 26.85 acres to allow for livestock. Mr. Foreman, you want to give us a brief little thing before we open up for a public hearing?
Yes, sir. Y'all saw about 3 or 4 months ago, neighboring property to this one, to the subject property, came in for rezoning for a similar request. This is the same property owner. He's just wanting to rezone an additional portion of property, which you see before you today, to RA to allow for the ability to have livestock.
At this time, we'll go into a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak this matter, please step forward, state your name, district, address the chair, please. Anyone at all? Anyone? Hearing none, public hearing will be closed. Do we have a motion? Motion, Mr. Allen, move this forward. Second, Mr. Wilson. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Just very quickly, as Mr. Foreman's already stated, we did a very similar thing here a couple of months back, and I've had no objections or complaints from anybody out there regarding this move, so I vote to, or move that we would approve it.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Anyone else? All in favor of the motion, show of hands. All opposed, like sign, so the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. We're moving on to item number 9B. 2016-009, the ordinance to authorize and set the transfer of authority to conduct municipality elections scheduled for the November odd number of years for the town of Pelzer to Anderson County Restoration Elections Board. We have a motion to move this forward.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Crowder. We have a second. Second from Mr. Allen. Any discussion? Any at all? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, show of hands. So the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 9C, 2016-010, the orders to approve the formation of the Anderson County Convention and Visitors Bureau pursuant to South Carolina Code of Laws, Section 6-4-10. It's to inquire to authorize the development of appropriate documents related to the formation of the Anderson County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Matters related thereto, title only. I put this in form of a motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Waters. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ma'am.
What is it?
It's right now the Convention and Visitors Bureau is under the Innovate Anderson thing, and this is to bring it back and be a standalone thing. We'll have our own point our own board and be a standalone committee.
Okay. They have been with the Innovate Anderson part ever since they started this.
Yes, ma'am.
So why are we changing it?
Well, number one, we had a meeting. We've been having meetings now for about a year of Innovate Anderson, and they come out of a committee that was appointed by the chairman of that Innovate Anderson's recommendations that they pull out to be a standalone committee. Innovate Anderson not were, and I feel very strongly about this in our meetings, this should be done this way.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, this isn't clear. Now, I've talked with some folks as well as I met with our administrator to see just what is happening here. But I think there's more to this story that needs to be told to the people as it had to be told to me. Now, these people have been with Innovate Anderson, and the money came from, part of their funding came from the county and the city, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, all right, have they not been doing a good job in carrying out their duties or their functions?
Doing an outstanding job.
Okay, all right, well.
Since Neil Paul took over.
Since who?
Neil Paul.
I don't know Mr. Paul, but if they're doing a good job and we're both paying for it, the city and the county, would you please explain to me again, because I don't understand why it's necessary?
Well, to start off with, as I said, this has been a year-long process and discussion, ones that's been going to Innovate Anderson meetings, and they appointed a committee. And the committee's recommendation was for them to come out from under them. And bottom line, my thing is the county's one that's got the majority of the money in. We should have more say and control of our thing. Neil Paul's done an outstanding job with some bass tournaments and other things going around the lake, and not the county, I should say. He got some things, and I believe it's just, my feelings is it needs to be appointed by our folks and be around there. And Innovate Anderson folks felt like, once it's been going to the board, felt like this too. Remember this thing, the only reason it was like state law says it has to be a standalone committee. And for whatever be the powers to be years ago, chose Innovate Anderson for whatnot. And I just think in the past, some of the budgetary things that's went on, it ought to have a little bit more control. That'd be a county, be a good spot for it. And we got to appoint, like I said, a separate board to be it. It won't be directly under the county. But the county be one to appoint the board.
May I continue my question?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You said this twice. I am one of the ones who have not attended, okay, because that's a bit early for me sometimes, and I just, but I know that a lot of us have not been, all of us have not been attending. Just those who feel the need to go at some point. I have been active in that area when it first started because I thought it was something pretty good. But now, how much do we pay out on our part? How much does the county pay now?
County's probably responsible for roughly, with state money and all, the county's part's probably gonna be around up close to $150,000.
And the city was responsible for, I think it was 40,000?
40 to 50, something like that.
Okay, so we will be paying the whole 190 ourselves by ourselves?
No, ma'am, not necessarily.
If the city pulls out, then?
But the city pulls out, who'd say we gotta spend another $40,000? That $40,000 going to the city.
Okay, I'm asking questions because I'm
Now,
trying to
and
find
I'm trying to
out.
answer them.
Yeah, because I'm
Yes,
trying to
sir,
find
ma'am.
out what's going on. Okay, now, let's get it on. Okay, all right, and you said that we would abolish their board and we would do our own board.
We'll abolish the board, we'll have it on board, that's the best way the state law says.
Okay, so will we have to get rid of the board members they have now, or we?
They don't have no board members, Innovate Anderson, we put them away from him. Innovate Anderson will still be Innovate Anderson.
Okay, I'm not picking a fight.
I'm not there, you asked me a question, Ms. Floyd, I'm trying to answer you. If you don't want me to answer, talk to Leon or Mr. Burns. It's fine
As I
with me.
said, I came up here to ask questions, because, so the folks can understand what's going on here. But,
Folks do pretty good talking to me when they want to know the answer, I'll be more glad to talk to them.
okay, I'm not picking a fight.
Well, let's move along.
But,
Got another question?
Yes, I do.
Well, go ahead.
Yes, I do. There was a meeting last week that turned out to be pretty touchy. about secret meetings and everything. I think you brought that up.
I sure did.
Were there any secret meetings going on?
Ms. Ford, what was discussed in executive session, I'm not privy to talk. I'll be glad to talk to you in private, or you should have meant the meeting, but I can't just come out and what went on in executive session.
Okay, you want to fight, so what I'll do, I'll just lay this on the table and we'll bring it back, okay?
No, we won't. You
I
can.
will get my answers, Mr. Chair. Every time I try to say something, every time I try to understand something, I have to go through this with you.
That's fine, Ms.
Every
Ford.
single-
Anything else? Anything else? Thank you.
I think,
Anything else?
yeah, Mr. Chair, just
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Just to give a little bit of history of this thing too, I think if you look at the Visitors Bureau and so on, you know, their director quit about a year ago, back in May. And also the head of Innovate Anderson quit about the same time. And there are going to be 2 meetings coming up here over the next month. A special board appointed by Innovate Anderson. They're going to sit down and try to figure out exactly what is it they're supposed to do and how are they supposed to work. Having said that, that's why that kind of left this Visitors Bureau just kind of out here hanging by itself. It really didn't have any supervision or anything. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're looking at bringing it under the county, giving it a stable format. We can fund it. They can do their job. They'll have supervision, and everything will be in accordance with law. And perhaps Innovate then will, you know, figure out who they're going to hire, if anybody, to head it up, and exactly what their mission is. But it's just been kind of confusion right now, and that's why we thought this might be a good idea to bring that Visitors Bureau under a county wing.
Mr. Chair?
Mayor.
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are budgetary concerns in that people were apparently asking for forgiveness instead of permission, which is the way our rules and laws read. That was a concern. But most importantly, we are each and every one up here a member of that board, and we receive notifications as to meetings, and some of us come and some of us do not. So there's no secret to what goes on in those meetings. We've been invited. Thank you.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Allen? Thank you. That was that answered my question and what was going on. That's all I was asking. No, I do not attend all those meetings, neither do you all. You don't attend every meeting you get invited to. In fact, you don't attend anything that my folks in my district do for you. But anyway, that's all I wanted to know. What was going on? No, I was not there, but I still have the right to know.
anyone else? All in favor of the motion, show of hands. All opposed? So the motion carries. Mr. Waters, Mr. Allen, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Cole, Mr. Crowder, Mr. Wilson in favor, Ms. Floyd opposed. Moving on to item number 9D, 2016-011, ordinance to authorize Anderson County to obtain a loan from the Brownfields Revolving Loan Fund administered by the Catawba Regional Council of Governments for environmental cleanup at the Coxway Mill site and Pelzo Mill site. Mr. Foreman.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Y'all have seen this before. This is just the authorization, the final authorization to allow the county to move forward with our applications, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have anything? They'll make a motion.
Well, I have one question.
Go ahead.
I think it was answered previously. Mr. Burns, how is this going to be paid for? I know it's over so many years.
Over so many years, we'll budget for it in the general fund. Part of the loan is loan forgiveness.
And it's a 30% loan
Yes, sir.
forgiveness. Okay, so it'll just be cranked into the road. Thank you.
Ms. Wilson, you have something?
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion to move this forward.
Second.
Ms. Wilson, second by Mr. Mr. Waters. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, show of hands. Opposed, like sign, so the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number E, 2016-012, orders to provide 4-year staggered terms of office for members of Anderson County Council. Mr. Cole.
Mr. Chairman, I was a staunch supporter of this back in '98 when it came before the voters of the county. Thought I did. Still not. Battery's dead.
Here you go.
Okay, in 1998, I was a staunch supporter of this. It came before the voters and was voted down at the time. And then I ran for office in 13, 14, and if you remember, myself and a number of people were actually kicked off the ballot because of some paperwork that we weren't necessarily responsible for putting together, but that was beside the point. At that time, I decided to run as a petition candidate. So I spent from June until November campaigning at that point in time. I lost that election, but I ran again and was elected for this term, the 15-16 term. Saying that, I got a lot of experience in campaigning. And to campaign every 13 months, 13 to 15 months is just too much. And I don't know if everybody realizes, but it's possible that we could lose all 7 councilmen at one time. With 4-year terms, they're staggered terms, and I just think it would be a good thing for the county. The people I talk to, overwhelming, and if we pass it, the voters still have the right to turn it down in November, but we're just trying to get it on the ballot so they can address that again. And I put this forward in the form of a motion.
Second.
Mr. Cole, Mr. Allen.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Allen first.
Okay, and I will support Mr. Cole on this, because if you think about it, when you start running for office, as Mr. Cole said, you've only got about 13 months in office. If you run for office in 2008, like I did when I first ran, 2009 you take office, well, by 2010, in about March, you're starting to campaign again, and you have to for the primaries in June. You cannot learn how to do this job or even begin to scratch the surface on what this is all about in 13 months. You just can't do it. It's a waste of time and a waste of money. We have to go out and start begging for money again so we can have money for flyers and road signs, which people don't like anyway when we put them up, but things like that. And within the state of South Carolina, only 3 counties have 2-year terms. Everybody else has 4-year terms. And when I submitted my last statement of economic interest to the Ethics Commission, which we all have to do periodically, I got a note back by email and said, we think you might have made a mistake on your application here. You're only showing a 2-year term. Well, no, I was right. We're one of only 3 counties that has 2-year terms. Everybody else has got 4-year terms. And to go to 4 years and stagger those, I think just really makes sense to do that. And I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Wilson.
Thank you. I respect and appreciate you gentlemen very much, but I totally, absolutely disagree. Because we had such a level of corruption and graft and so forth going on in our county and the previous time, and the state does not have recall. This is about the only way our citizens can hold us to account. And personally, I find it easier to run every 2 years because I never quit working for my citizens. I don't have time really to catch my breath. I really don't ever have, I've never really had to raise a lot of money. I've just had to get out and knock on doors and answer phone calls and respond to the people's needs. I disagree with this. I was here in '98, and I remember the referendum where we went from 5 to 7 council members. And I also remember that the citizens struck down going to staggered terms of 4 years. And so, anyway, my vote will be no, and I'll still like y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just quickly, we talked about corruption, and I know everybody assumes, believes, thinks all politicians are corrupt. I understand. But I will, speaking for myself, and I'm going to compliment all this council up here, I honestly do not believe we have a corrupt individual up here. I really don't. And Mr. Crowder, I'm going to thank you a good bit, because I can tell you Mr. Crowder knows where every penny goes to in this county. And I would say we're probably as straight a bunch of arrows as you've ever run into on council. That's not to say the next group coming in, who knows. But I don't think we are corrupt, though. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm going to agree with Mr. Cole on this motion, because that is true. We do need to have staggering terms, just for the reason to have experienced people in here. So when people come in, Yeah, startling, or which, startling, or staggering. But anyway, this is a tough job, and I'll agree with Ms. Wilson as well. Once you get in here, this is a job. It's not like a dog catching a car. And once you catch a car, you got to figure out what to do with it. It's a very difficult job, and I would say it's a full-time job, and there's quite a bit of time that all 7 of us put in up here. Mr. Burns' phone it rings off the hook quite a bit, because I know I call him probably 3 or 4 times a day at least. And so I think that it would be a good thing to have staggering 4-year terms, just so you would have some experience up here, because you don't just walk in the door knowing what to do. And it's a whole lot different sitting on this side than it is sitting on that side looking out. It's easy to throw rocks at people. And, you know, once you get in the seat up here, you understand a lot of things. So anyway, but I'll support Mr. Cole's motion on this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Floyd.
I am the longest sitting council member here. Been here 16 years. I don't slide in every year. Every year, I run again, and I am elected again. We were told the last time that this thing failed because people were just not satisfied, okay? But it doesn't make any difference, because a lot of the council members never have opposition. So what's the difference in keeping them for 2 years, making them run for 2 years or 4 years? They're not gonna have opposition anyway. So it's not a thing where somebody needs to be removed because they're not doing their jobs. Whether or not they're doing their jobs or not, they get elected. I mean, they get elected without opposition every year. I think this year I have 3 running against me, and the council member from District 3 has 2 running against me, okay? It's not anything I worry about, because I do my job. I do my job. I'm very proud of my record, but the position is not mine to have, nor does it belong to anybody else. But the thing is, it doesn't matter whether you're going to run for, whether you're going to be there 2 years or 4-year terms, because some of them don't have oppositions anyhow. So what's the difference? Why vote at all? Thank you.
Mr. Crowder, come make sure you might.
May I direct my question to our attorney?
Yes.
Assuming that this was on the ballot and the voters voted for it in November, this would not become effective until the next election cycle, is that right?
No, Mr. Crowder. The state statute, and there's a Scribner's error in the title of this, it's actually State Code Section 4-9-90. And the code section provides that in the event the referendum is conducted at the time of the general election in which council members are elected and the vote is favorable on the ordinance, the terms of council members shall automatically be changed to 4-year terms, except that of those elected in that general election, 1/2 plus 1 of such members who receive the highest vote shall serve 4-year terms, and the remaining members elected shall serve terms of 2 years. And then 2 years later, they would be the ones who run for a 4-year term. That's the provision in the state code.
So, but that was not included in the short summary that you gave me, but it doesn't matter.
It's not included in the title that's on the agenda. That's
Okay.
correct, Mr. Crowder.
I'm just trying to get a clarification. Because obviously I've had plenty of people running against me since the day one. But obviously this will not affect me since I'm not running. Not my choice. Okay? So, but I quite frankly, got sick of running. You know, that's not the reason I'm not running, but you do get sick of running. But anyway, thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, one more thing.
Mr. Waters?
Keep in mind, this is an election for the people to be making a choice of this, so whatever they decide, that's what we'll do. And I mean, it doesn't matter to me, so you know, what they decide, then that's what we'll do and how we'll handle this. So I just want to make that point, that's real clear, the people will be making the choice.
Anyone else? I want to say, I agree with, Mr. Cole saying, but I also agree with Ms. Wilson. They are everything that Tom said, but I was going to point out, Mr. Waters put it exactly right. I'm going to be voting for this, just put it on the ballot, because people's going to decide. I got very doubtful that it ever passed, because I think it's already been voted in twice before. But the people will be the ones deciding this. They got a right to decide. And that's what I always hear, let the people decide. So that's what we're going to do, we're going to decide. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, show hands. All opposed? So the motion carries with Mr. Waters, Mr. Allen, Floyd, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Cole, Crowder in favor, Ms. Wilson opposed. Moving on to item number 10, memorandum of understanding, BTW Pelzer Heritage Commission in Anderson County. Mr. Burns.
This is formalizing the agreement. Pelzer Heritage Committee was a partner with ours when we went after the Neighborhood Improvement Program grant. It requires a nonprofit to be a part. We contacted many nonprofits in Anderson County. Pelzer Heritage Commission stepped up to the plate because they had experience in this. This will formalize our agreement with them. We have to have a nonprofit working with us, and having a nonprofit helped us to achieve that $2.5 million. Again, we helped choose them because they already own some properties in the Pelzer area, and they've obtained and managed their own grant programs. And the Pelzer Heritage Commission is getting a tangible benefit out of this arrangement. They have asked for county approval to maintain ownership of a handful of properties in their area at the end of the 3-year period. In these cases, they would be solely responsible for maintenance, insurance, etc., for any properties they choose to keep.
May I make the motion that we approve?
Wilson makes a motion to accept. We have a second. Second, Mr. Allen. Any
Ma'am,
discussion? Ms. Wilson?
this particular commission is composed of the most active volunteers I believe I've seen in any endeavor. As far as I know, Mr. Burns may correct me, there are no salaried people with this 501c3. They work like dogs. I've never seen such a commitment to pulling the county and that area ahead like those dear people. So I'll be voting for this. Thank you.
Thanks, Wilson. Anyone else? All in favor of the motion, show of hands. Opposed, like sign, so the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 11, appointments. Are there any appointments anyone has to make? Now we'll be moving on to item number 12, request for council member. Ms. Wilson. Wilson has none. Crowder.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to allocate from District 1's rec fund $400 to the City of Anderson's Recreation Department for the purchase of baseball gloves for the indigents that would love to play ball but don't have access to a glove or other things needed. That's kind of associated with 2 other requests, keeping in mind that the City of Anderson, part of it is in District 1. So I'll make that as a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Crowder. Ms. Wilson, second that. Any discussion?
Yes. Mr. Crowder, when I read over there, did I see on your recreational allocation form that you were doing this for District 2 and District 5, or was it just District 1 and District?
I was just doing it for District 1. I don't know.
And 5?
I don't know about 2 and 5.
Well, just give me a minute to find the form that it was written on. And while I'm doing this, Mr. Dunn, maybe we could have a break.
We're just about to finish this up. Everybody wants a break?
Well, anyway, if I come back to it, I'll bring it up. But,
Here it is right here, Mr. Someone look at Mr. Crowder's form. For-
Yes, Mr.
it says for
Crowder.
District 1, it says the City of Anderson Recreation Department, $400.
okay, here it is. It says baseball equipment for districts 2 and 5 children. That's what it says, okay? I want to thank you for that, but, please, District 2 has been taken care of. District 2, paid $5,000 for the children of District 2, which was 90-something, to play baseball at the field. So I want to make you aware of that, so you would have to use your money for my children, and I thank you, anyway.
Well, I'd like to remind the distinguished council that part of the city of Anderson is in District 1.
And I'd like to give you the information that, this is not.
Let's don't make a big deal. The guy wants to give $400 to the city of Anderson for the Health Direct Department.
As I was saying, this is not for city children, this is for home park children.
What Mr. Crowder is doing is for his thing, his choosing.
This is, his children goes to,
Mr. Crowder.
his children, Mr. Chair, goes to the Anderson County Recreation Center. My kids, can't do that.
May I clarify this? If you read the application form, it's headed up with 1, and even on the agenda it's 1. But apparently Mr. Bevel made a mistake, or I'm not sure what, but he said for purpose of baseball equipment for district.
Never in my life seen anybody gonna give somebody, give money out of somebody's rec account, make a deal out of it.
Well, you
But
did the same thing last week.
Miss Floyd, I've got the floor right now, Miss Floyd,
I'm
please.
happy when you finish.
And, I'm calling for the question on this. Second. All in favor of calling for the question, show of hands. All opposed? So the motion carries to call for the question. Mr. Waters, Mr. Allen, Dunn, Mr. Cole, Mr. Crowder, Ms. Wilson, Ms. Floyd, you opposing?
No, I've got something to say. Last week.
No, Ms. Floyd, the question's been called, so we're moving on.
When you did.
Now, no, Ms. Floyd, we're gonna move on.
And you told me.
Are we gonna be moving on?
That depends when I get.
Moving on, now we call all in favor of Mr. Crowder's motion, show of hands. All opposed? All abstentions?
I oppose.
So the motion carries. Mr. Waters, Mr. Allen, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Cole, Mr. Crowder, Ms. Wilson in favor, Ms. Floyd opposed. Anything else, Mr. Crowder?
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Cole, you have anything?
Nothing this time, thank you.
Ms. Floyd?
Yes, I have something. Mr. Chair, you're in the same dilemma. I paid $5,000 for my kids to play baseball, which I started, because the kids need something to do. You were asked to pay for your own kids, which is $1,500. I don't need the money from your recreation fund. My kids have been paid for. It's done, it's over.
Never in my life heard nothing like it's my life.
Yes, you did, you did it to me.
Ms.
When I asked
Ms. Floyd, move on. This all you want to complain about somebody trying to give money? My money's going to the district. I'll tell you when my money goes far and it comes up. Don't you decide that, I will. Now, are you wanting to make any recommendations for any money? Are you wanting to make any recommendations for any money, Ms. Floyd? Appropriations. That's what this time is for now.
I will get it out. He does this to me all the time.
I know, Ms. Floyd, keep on. You always just babble, so keep on.
I babble.
Do you have any requests for any money? Is that what you want to do, appropriate any money now?
I will say what I have to say at the end.
Okay. No more requests then?
Not to you. Well, I
Just
have
a
questions
minute.
for you, but we'll talk.
Mr. Allen?
Mr. Chair, I just have one. The Family Promise, I'd like to do $200 out of my rec account for them.
Have a second?
Second.
Ms. Wilson, any discussion? All in favor of Mr. Allen's motion, show of hands. All opposed? All abstentions?
I abstain.
So the motion carries. Mr. Waters, Mr. Allen, Mr. Dunn, Cole, Crowder, Ms. Wilson in favor, and Ms. Floyd abstains. Anything else, Mr. Allen? Mr. Waters?
I have two that I'd like to bring at the same time, if that's okay. For the Family Promise, I'd like to appropriate $200 from the District 6 recreation account, and also for the Powdersville Youth Association, $5,000 for that. I bring both of these in the form of a motion.
Have a second? Second, Mr. Cole. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, show of hands. All opposed? So the motion carries. Mr. Franklin, Mr. Waters, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Cole, Mr. Crowder, and Ms. Wilson in favor, and Mr. Floyd abstains. Anything else, Mr. Waters?
That's all I have, thank you.
Moving on to District 5. I would like to, out of District 5's rec account, appropriate $1,500 to the City of Anderson's rec department. Also, I'd like $1,000 to the MAD, and also $200 to Family Promise, and $500 to Meals on Wheels. Second, Mr. Cole, any discussion? All in favor of the motion, show of hands. All opposed? All abstained? So Ms. Floyd abstains. Mr. Waters, Mr. Allen, Dunn, Cole, Crowder, Wilson votes in favor, and Ms. Floyd abstains. Moving on now, administrative report.
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Moving on to item 14, citizen comment. Mr. Harmon calls your name, please step forward. State your name, your district, address the chair, and you got 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, the first citizen signed up is Elizabeth Fan.
District 3, Elizabeth Fan. I have so many things to say, I'm not going to get them all in. I am really upset with the meeting tonight. Ms. Gracie, sometimes you talk about things that take too long to talk about, and maybe you're not relevant. But tonight,
You can't hear what
But tonight, I don't know who put a bee in your bonnet, Mr. Chairman. You have been so